It's safe for him to use yours because he learned his lesson.
Welcome to Reddit Chronicles. Today's subreddit is r/Entitledparents. Enjoy. You can't just throw out a stranded pregnant mother and her toddler at 3 a.m. in the cold. Oh yes, I effing can. Buckle up everyone for this bumpy ride. Okay, so I was chilling in my living room around 3 a.m. playing some video games. My parents are out of town visiting some friends and I decided to stay home. House to myself and all. So here I am in nothing but sleepwear where there's a knock on the door. WTF? I think to myself. So I scramble to get my clothes on and I answer the door. It was a family acquaintance with her already whiny little brat. She's also visibly pregnant, and we'll get to why that part is important later. Hey name, what's going on? My car broke down and tow company can't come get my car until tomorrow. Think me and Brat's name can crash here tonight? Sure, you guys can sleep in the living room. I let them in. Want anything to eat or drink? Coffee if it's not any trouble. Sure, no problem. So I get to make some coffee when I see the little brat picking up my controller. Hey little guy, please put that down. Oh, can't he play a game? No, I'm in the middle of something. Plus, he wouldn't know how to play that type of game. But he really wants to play. Don't you, little brat? I want to play! No, you can't play, little brat. I want to play, I want to play, I want to play! Ah! Throws the effing controller at the TV, shattering the screen. What the F? I rush over to the TV. Hey, don't you swear at my child. You just effing let him destroy my TV like this. You're the one who didn't let him play the video game. I said no, and you have to teach your brat that he isn't owed jack. How dare you! Just wait until I tell your mother about how you treated him. You'll make a terrible mom. I'm not having kids, but if I did, I wouldn't let them be spoiled little brats like Brat. You are being the brat right now. Just get a new TV and quit whining. Yeah, I'll get a new TV with the money you pay me for the broken TV. What? But you are the one who instigated little brat. You know what? Just get the F out of my house. You and your little brat are no longer welcome in my house. What the F is wrong with you? I'm pregnant and have a toddler and nowhere to go. You can't just kick out a stranded pregnant mother and her toddler at 3 a.m. in the cold? Oh yes I can, you insufferable brat. Get the F out of my house before I call the cops. Picking up her brat and heading towards the door. Just wait until I tell your mother about this. Yeah, I'll gladly tell her about what little brat did to the TV and that you refused to pay for it. You'll regret this. Leaves. The next morning I called my parents and explained what happened. They were very understanding because I was never raised to be a spoiled little brat, and Mommy Brat got an earful from my mom that if she didn't pay back, we would take her to small claims. She tried to play the, oh, woe is me, single pregnant mother, blah blah blah, but it didn't work, and she forked over the $500 for the new TV, and we cut contact with her. Edit. In case anyone else was wondering, the reason Breeder and her brat were out at 3 a.m. was because little brat demanded McDonald's and refused to go to bed until he got it. So just imagine, your kid wakes you up at 2 or 3 in the morning, demands McDonald's, and refuses to go back to sleep without it. And you actually indulge him. Knowing that, it's not much of a surprise anymore that your kid goes and breaks somebody else's TV because they don't let him play a game, and then you refuse to pay for the TV. And this is somebody who let you into their house, no less. My son broke his computer. He's allowed to use yours. So here's a story about a kid who broke his own computer, and then his mom instructs him to break into the neighbor's house and use their computer. Enjoy. I was 12. My parents moved us to a new place. Our neighbors were unpleasant. There were the entitled mother and father. Never met him, can't call him entitled. With 2 sons. One was 13 and the other was about 8 or 9. The older brother, OB, was a decent guy. We were school bus pals, but the younger one was an issue. But looking back on it, he probably had a social disorder like Asperger's or perhaps ADHD. My mom did not like this kid. A few incidents happened before with him, and my mom nicknamed him the orange-haired goblin. I'll call him OG. This story is told from my mother's perspective, as she dealt with the entitled mother. Despite this happening over 10 years ago, I do remember that it happened, but the written dialogue here is pulled from my mother's retelling of the story, so there's a tad of embellishment. This was in the dial-up day, or rather, the day of dial-up in my country. It was fantastic. My mom and I had a system where I'd quickly load a flash game with a heads up, then disconnect from the internet and plug the phone back in. It was the school holidays, so it was just my mom and I at home, with my dad at work, so it was an otherwise empty house when this happened. Mom: OP, you're supposed to give me a heads up when you're unplugging the phone. I need to make a call. Me, from the backyard: I'm not on the computer though, I'm outside. Mom pokes her head out the kitchen window, sees me, looks confused, then turns around. She and I have the same idea, so we both head to the room with the computer. And we'd find Orange Goblin. Excuse me, what are you doing?
My mom told me I could use your computer.
Why don't you use yours? Despite hating this kid, my mom is not unreasonable. She's not going to get annoyed with an 8 or 9-year-old.
I broke it.
Well, I'm sorry, but she can't decide that. You have to ask for permission. Besides, you can't let yourself into our house anyway. You can finish the game, but I need to plug the phone back in so you can't load anything else. Mom then gives me a look that meant, keep an eye on him. She later told me she didn't want him to break our computer if he indeed broke his own, so she needed me to keep an eye on him. Orange Goblin then leaves. Then 10 minutes later we heard a knock on the door. I go and answer, but my mom gets there first.
Orange Goblin told me you won't let him on your computer.
Sorry, who?
My son?
Oh, right, the kid who let himself in. He told me you told him he could use our computer. Why is that?
His was broken and I needed to entertain him.
So that makes it okay? I wouldn't have minded letting him if you had just discussed it with me first.
He's an angel. There's no harm in him using it.
Clearly there is if you broke his computer. At this point, entitled mom must have been getting annoyed. I heard this part for myself as she started shouting very loudly.
He only broke his keyboard. He spilled his drink on it. It's safe for him to use yours because he learned his lesson.
Still, that doesn't give him or you the right to come and go as you please and use our property without permission.
But you said you would have let him, so what's the problem?
My problem is a strange kid I barely know just walked into my house and used my computer because his mother said he could. If that's how you treat your neighbors, then you or your children aren't welcome here anymore. My mom then slammed the door, and that was the last we heard from entitled mom, though she'd stare at us if she saw us leave the house. My mom would make jokes about the kid if she saw him in the street, like, crap, it's the orange-haired goblin, remember to lock the door. When school resumed, I was talking to the older brother on the school bus. He told me that his mother asked him to steal our keyboard if he ever comes around again. He understood his mother was a wackadoodle, so we just had a laugh about it. P.S. A lot of people are wondering how this kid got inside without us knowing. Doors are usually kept unlocked where we live, but we learned our lesson and started locking it after. P.P.S. The entitled mom asked her older son to steal the keyboard because she knew that I was friendly with him. She didn't ask Orange Goblin to steal it. Sorry for any confusion. Wow. If there's an appropriate time to use the phrase literally can't even, this would be it. I mean, imagine your kid breaks his keyboard, right? And then you say, oh, just go waltz into the neighbor's house and then use their computer without even talking to them. You'd have to be some kind of entitled to not only be okay with your kid doing that, but actually telling them to. Great job on the part of original poster's mom, slamming the door in entitled mom's face. Details. I'm 17 and live in the UK. This happened around December of last year. It happened in Little, to be exact. Now this is going to be a very long read, so be prepared. EM, entitled mom. EK, entitled kid. My mom asked me to go grocery shopping because she was quite busy with something and I agreed to go. So I went to Lidl. I spent around 10 minutes looking for things on the shopping list. I decided to get a treat for myself because why not? So I got some Fin Carré chocolate. Note, this chocolate wasn't sold at the till in this location. I finally finished finding everything and made my way to the till. I was standing in line while using my phone, just minding my own business, until this overly loud parent with her very hyperactive kid, who looked around 8, came behind me in the line.
You wouldn't mind letting us go in front of you, would you?
I looked down on her cart, which seemed to be a lot more full than mine, and I decided, I'm not in a rush, so why not? And I replied, sure, and subtly smiled. She thanked me and went on to go in front of me. My impression of this woman seemed normal, until this happened. The entitled kid said, as he was pointing to my cart,
Mom, look, it's that chocolate you promised to buy me next time we go shopping. Oh yes, darling, I just remembered.
The entitled mom looks up to me and says,
May I grab the chocolate bar? The little one's been eager to get it.
Now this chocolate is somewhat far from the tills in this location, and, as mentioned earlier, isn't sold at the tills either, so getting a new chocolate bar for myself would have been a chore. I replied, I'm sorry, I don't think I can give you the chocolate. It's quite far from the tills. Her smile quickly turned into a death stare, and she said in a loud voice,
Right, I don't care how far this chocolate is from here. Now someone like you is more than capable of getting a new bar, so stop making George cross.
I replied, I don't care how capable I am. I'm not going anywhere and this chocolate is staying in the cart. Now there was a lot going through my head at this point, but I remember how the entitled kid was reaching inside my cart trying to grab the chocolate, so I quickly grabbed it myself and held it in my hand.
Mom, the guy took the chocolate! Right, I've had enough.
The entitled mom reached to my hand to grab the chocolate, but I moved in time and decided to go directly to the cashier and asked him to call a manager. Now the cashier seemed to have witnessed everything, and so he informed the manager about what happened. No more than 2 minutes of me awkwardly standing and the manager arrives. She walks up to the entitled mom and quietly asks her to leave, and the entitled mom kept trying to incriminate me somehow until she finally paid for her groceries and left. Me, the cashier, and the manager all had a laugh about it after she left. Now that I think about it, that scene wasn't worth a chocolate bar. But oh well, kudos to the guy for not giving them the chocolate bar. I mean, sure, you could say the scene wasn't quote-unquote worth the chocolate bar and he could have just given it to them and got one, but I say entitled people like that need to be taught a lesson. So I really implore you, if any of you guys ever find yourself in a situation like this at the grocery store or anywhere else, stand up for yourself. If you can, don't give in, because the more you give in, the more you encourage these entitled people to continue this kind of entitled behavior. That's all the entitled parents we have for today, folks. Let me know in the comments section which entitled parent you thought was most entitled. And if you liked that video, do remember to subscribe and share it with your friends. Until next time, stay awesome.